that you're here today to come and learn about Hahamongna and the science and nature of this very rare area. You know, we describe this as the most special environmental place in this entire region. And a lot of people kind of wonder why. But there's a lot of reasons, and you're going to learn about those reasons here today. This is really the flood basin coming down from the San Gabriel Mountains right above us that you really can't even see from here, which is kind of amazing. And periodically, storms come washing through this area. On a year-to-year basis, it's a very critical spot for water resources in this area because almost 40% of Pasadena's water, and in the past it's been even more than that, comes from the Arroyo Seco stream and the groundwater basin that is fed by the runoff from the mountains. So it's really key in terms of water. It's key in terms of habitat, plant life in this area, and wildlife. And we're going to have learning stations along the tour today for you with specialists who know a lot about these topics, who can give you all the information and answer your questions about why Hahamongna is so special. Now, we wanted to get people out here to Hahamongna today because Hahamongna is under threat. And it's very important for you to know not only how special and how precious it is, but there are very real plans that are moving forward on a regular basis in order to undo the precious nature of Hahamongna. And one example is right on the space that you're standing on. How do you think this will look as a paved parking lot? Because that's what it's going to be according to the City of Pasadena's plan. They want to put a paved parking lot right here, and then they want to put another soccer field like the one that was carved out of the oak grove over there. They want to put another soccer field out here. Now please, as you're walking around, take a look out there and see. This is an area that when there's a flood, and you know there was a flood just a little over a year ago and a year before that too, the floodwaters actually come right through this area. This is really part of the stream zone. It's part of the Arroyo Seco stream zone coming through this area. But the City of Pasadena still to this day plans to put a soccer field here. Now the last time the City Council voted on it, the vote was 4-4. 4-4 to kill it, right? The vote failed because 5 votes are necessary to win. And hey, thanks for Sid Tyler for being one of those 4 votes that we so needed. But so we eliminated one of the extra soccer fields they were talking about, but they still want to put another soccer field right in this very rare and precious area. Now I'm all for soccer. I love soccer, but soccer fields are best in neighborhoods where kids can get to them easily and where the whole community can support them, and not in precious natural areas like that. Now, you know, the mountain watershed right above us here burnt off in 2009. There was a very severe fire, the worst fire in LA County history, since humans have been here anyway. And the 67% of the upper mountain watershed burnt off, and a lot of erosion occurred after that. And a lot of sand and sediment came flowing down, mud flowing down into this basin. And so there is a lot more sand and sediment in the basin than there was a few years ago. And because of the dam, the sediment gets trapped here. And the sediment's been building up since the dam, Devil's Gate Dam, was built in 1920. So, you know, think about that for a minute. The sediment isn't going to stop coming down, and there's a dam that traps it. So that's created some unnatural conditions here too. There's a lot more sand and sediment that would naturally occur in this area. And so the County of Los Angeles has announced a plan, and they're doing an environmental impact report right now to remove 4 million cubic yards of sand and sediment. Now, you know, a cubic yard, you know, is a large amount. And 4 million, well, let me translate that to trucks. That's 400,000 trucks, right? Coming into the area, moving out of the area over a 3 to 5 year period of time. It's going to have an enormous impact on this area. And probably the worst impact will be, what do they leave when they're gone? The county's original plan was to basically scar 50 acres in this area down here that you're going to be seeing, You won't actually be walking through the 50 acres that they're talking about, but you'll be able to see it as you walk around the basin, was to permanently leave that area barren of all habitat and to make it be basically a zone that would just be used for removing silt and sediment from the basin. Well, you know what? That's the way they used to do it 30 or 40 years ago. And it really isn't an environmentally sensitive way at all. So, with regard to the threats, I guess you could say that the basic difference in mentality here are between the planners who view this basically in a very kind of utilitarian way, like, oh, let's have more recreation fields here. Or, oh, let's just have this be an area where we just scoop up sand and gravel and get rid of it quickly. But there's another way to do it, and that is to work with nature and to try to restore the natural processes in this area. But you can't do that if you've degraded them so far, you know. So even with regard to the county's plan, the plan to remove sediment from this basin, first of all, has to do everything possible to reduce the impacts on neighborhoods. And secondly, it has to be a plan that will work with nature to restore the natural functions of a river and stream. You know, rivers and streams carry sediment. You know, they built this system 80 years ago, and they built a dam, and then they built flood channels below it, and they destroyed the river system. And what they need to do is to rethink all of that and to work on restoring the river system. So that's what the Arroyo Seco Foundation is about. That's what a lot of the groups that are working to protect and preserve the Arroyo are about. And we hope that after today, you'll be much more motivated to get active in groups like that, to make a difference, to talk to the political leadership, to talk to your friends in the community, to get speakers for your organization, to talk about the importance of protecting these rare and precious environmental areas, and that you'll really get activated in order to make a difference in doing that. That's the purpose of Hahamongna Walkabout today. So we're going to set you out on the trail in just a minute, but before we do that, we have a real hero of Hahamongna, Marrie Barrie, who's with Friends of Hahamongna, and she's going to say a few words before you hit the road. Or the trail, I should say.
Thanks, Ken. Well, you know, I just want to add a couple things. I won't keep you long. One thing to really think about is in terms of of what the county's doing, in terms of their sediment removal, the amount of land that this could happen to is 175 acres. That is all the way up at the mouth. 175 acres goes from the dam all the way up. They aren't necessarily going to take sediment out of that whole area, but it could be anywhere within that. So what's so important is that we make sure that this is done in as environmentally sound a way as possible. And we've got to read the documents. And that's why what I really want to exhort you to do. It's not easy. They're going to be highly technical, but it's critical. And you got to get on Tim's email list, get on the Arroyo Seco list, and then you'll find out when these documents are out. But that's really one of the most important things that we can do. We don't have enough people who are willing to do that. And it's not as bad as it looks. It looks really technical, but there's lots of people that will help you. I have lots of people email me. I'm glad to give you my email. I can help anybody that has a question. I try to answer them. That's one of our claims to fame, where we decided we were going to read all the documents, and we have. And we've gone to almost every meeting. We've done public record searches. We really know our stuff, and we're willing to help anybody. It sounds like a lot of work, but we got to do it. And there's one thing that I'd like to say that might make it a little easier to get involved. The next few years are going to be critical. I can't say that enough. The station fire, what it did was it really changed. It changed Hahamongna, and it changed the whole playing field here in terms of what's going to happen. Because 175 acres that could get impacted, you know, who knows what's going to happen. This is a chance for the people that want to develop Hahamongna to get in there and go crazy. So we have to make sure the county doesn't let that happen, because it is a real threat. And I hope it's not going to go on forever. I mean, I really see the next few years as critical. So I hope you guys will, you know, get involved, get on the Arroyo Seco list. My email is meb787@aol.com. Be glad to give it to anybody, and you know, just take a look today and do what you can. Thanks.
Thanks, Marrie.
Sure.
Oh,
Now,
ladies and gentlemen, I'm
what-
sorry. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
One other thing that we want to talk about before we send you on the way is there are people here from the county. The people who are planning the county's program are going to be on Devil's Gate Dam for you to ask all the questions. We wanted to have a full representation of views here and give everybody the opportunity so that you could judge for yourself what the best approach is to managing this area. And so the county people very graciously will be here on Devil's Gate Dam and able to answer any of your questions, and you can tell them what you think and all that. We invited the city of Pasadena to come. They didn't come.
Boo.
Let me say one other thing that's kind of a lot of the focus has been soccer fields and a perception that soccer fields and they do want to put a soccer field in this immediate area right here. But their plan really for this area is not just a soccer field, but imagine this. They really want to raise this area about 25 feet. And when I say this area, I mean 27 acres. Take 27 acres in this area here, which is an enormous stretch, and raise it 25 feet. That's their plan. They want to take sediment from down by the dam and pack it over here, basically destroy what's here, and then they say, oh gee, we're going to put some habitat on top of it. Well, that's not how you create habitat. You don't create habitat by building a pad of 25 feet and then putting stuff on top of it. So anyway, you need to find out more about the Pasadena plan, because the Arroyo Seco master plan, the Hahamongna part of it, has some really bad planning elements in it that are not at all sensitive to nature. And that the Arroyo Seco Foundation is very strongly opposed to and refuses to have anything to do with. And I want to make that clear, because we have recently obtained a $3 million grant, and we're having a big fight with the city, frankly, right now, because the city wants us to do that. We are the protectors of nature here, and we're going to stick with that, and I want you to know that. Now, okay, so let's get on the road. I think you have some handouts for people.
Yes, I do. These are guides indicating the different learning stations that you'll be passing on the tour. Feel free to keep these. If you don't want to, just leave them on the table on the way out.
All right.
So,
and the first group is going to go with Russ DiFiore. Now, Russ is the perfect guy to lead you. He's a biology professor at Pasadena City College, and his name, DiFiore, of course, means of the flowers. So, isn't that a perfect name for the tour guide today? Here he is, Russ DiFiore.
Very good. Oh, as we go along, I won't necessarily have anything to say officially. I'm just going to be guiding you to the various things. But do feel free to ask me any questions you have, either about talks or about plants that you might see as we go along. But otherwise, we'll just kind of move on to the more important